Chapter 4 Journey of the Sacred Scriptures, Guanin's Quest for the Chosen One. The Buddha, known as the Venerable Sakyamuni, approached the great sage with a proposition. He challenged the ape to leap from his palm, promising that if the great sage succeeded, the Jade Emperor would abdicate in his favor. The great sage, confident in his abilities, accepted the wager. With a burst of speed, the great sage soared through the heavens, only to find himself at the end of a journey marked by 5 flesh-pink pillars. Believing he had traveled to the farthest reaches of heaven, he left his mark upon one of the pillars and returned to the Buddha's palm, triumphant. But the Buddha revealed the truth. The great sage had not escaped his grasp. The marks he left were found upon the Buddha's finger, a testament to the Buddha's divine power. The great sage, unwilling to accept defeat, attempted to challenge the Buddha once more, but was swiftly subdued. The Buddha transformed his 5 fingers into the 5 elements mountain, trapping the great sage beneath its weight. There, the Monkey King was to remain, sustained by iron pellets and molten copper, until a time came when he would be released to serve a higher purpose. As the story concludes, the heavens rejoice in the restoration of peace. The Buddha returns to his realm, and the Jade Emperor, grateful for the Buddha's intervention, organizes a grand feast to celebrate the triumph over chaos. The banquet to celebrate peace in heaven is a testament to the power of righteousness and the inevitable fall of those who defy the natural order. The Buddha's return to his realm was marked by a sense of tranquility and profound respect. The 3,000 Buddhas, 500 Arhats, 8 great Vajrapanis, and countless Bodhisattvas, who had been waiting beneath the Sala trees at the foot of the Vulture Peak, were a sight to behold. They stood in reverence, adorned with banners, canopies, jewels, and magical flowers, their presence a testament to the Buddha's profound influence and the sanctity of his teachings. The preparations for the feast were nothing short of miraculous. The 4 great heavenly teachers and the 9 heavenly maidens were tasked with opening the golden gates of the Jade Capital, the Palace of the Great Mystery, and the Tongyang Jade Palace. Their efforts transformed the celestial realms into a canvas of opulence and joy. As the guests began to arrive, they were greeted by the splendor of the banquet hall, adorned with dragon liver, phoenix bone marrow, jade liquor, and magic peaches. The original celestial jade pure one, the high celestial precious pure one, and the heavenly celestial pure one of the way, along with the true lords of the 5 humors, star lords of the 5 constellations, and other celestial beings, arrived in pairs, bearing gifts of shining pearls, rare jewels, fruit of longevity, and exotic flowers. The Queen Mother of the West, her presence as regal as ever, offered her gratitude to the Buddha. Her peach banquet, once disrupted by the great sage, had been a source of sorrow. Now, with the monkey fiend subdued, she presented the Buddha with peaches of immortality, grown from the immortal roots and harvested by her own hands. These peaches, half red and half green, were a symbol of her deepest appreciation and a token of the rejuvenation and eternal life they bestowed upon those who partook of them. The Star of Longevity, known for his eternal youth and wisdom, also made his presence known. He brought with him purple magic mushrooms, jasper herbs, greenish jade lotus roots, and golden pills of immortality as a humble offering to the Buddha. His arrival was marked by the fragrance of his sacred mushroom, a scent so potent it startled the stars and constellations in the hall. The Barefoot Immortal, known for his carefree spirit and boundless generosity, offered 2 magic pears and a number of fire dates to the Buddha. These fruits, sweet and nourishing, were said to extend life and bestow blessings upon the one who consumed them. As the feast commenced, the immortals and celestial beings indulged in the exquisite delicacies, their laughter and conversations filling the air with a sense of joy and camaraderie. The Queen Mother and her retinue of fairies, immortal beauties, and Hurries entertained the assembly with their enchanting songs and dances, their performance a celebration of the harmony restored to the heavens. The Buddha, seated on the throne of the seven precious things, presided over the festivities with a serene countenance. He accepted the offerings with grace and gratitude, acknowledging the contributions of each immortal to the preservation of order and the triumph over the great sage's rebellion. The banquet to celebrate peace in heaven was not just a feast of the senses but a gathering of the divine, a celebration of the eternal truths and the unity of the cosmos. It was a reminder that even in the face of chaos and rebellion, the forces of righteousness and enlightenment would always prevail. As the night wore on and the revelry reached its peak, the Buddha, with a heart filled with compassion, chanted a spell to ensure the great sage's well-being during his confinement. He appointed a local tutelary god and the revealers of the truth of the 5 regions to guard over the Monkey King, providing for his sustenance until the day of his redemption. The narrative shifts to the Thunder Monastery on the Vulture Peak, where the Buddha, having subdued the defiant monkey, addresses a gathering of 3,000 Buddhas, 500 Arhats, 8 Vajrapanis, and countless Bodhisattvas. He speaks of his deep insight into the 3 worlds and the ultimate emptiness of nature, a lesson that leads to a profound understanding of life and death. The Buddha's words are so powerful that a sacred light fills the sky, creating 42 rainbows that span the heavens. In the Western Paradise, a place of tranquility and eternal spring, the Buddha proposes an Ulambana feast, a celebration of the harvest and a time for giving thanks. The feast is a time of joy and gratitude, with poems of happiness, official rank, and longevity recited in honor of the Buddha. It is during this celebration that the Buddha reveals his intention to send the true scriptures to the eastern lands, a mission that requires a worthy believer to undertake the treacherous journey. The Bodhisattva Guanyin, a figure of immense compassion and wisdom, volunteers for this sacred task. She is adorned with pearls and jade, her presence a beacon of hope and mercy. The Buddha entrusts her with 5 treasures: a brocade cassock and a 9-ringed monk's staff for the chosen one, and 3 tight bands, with spells to subdue any demons encountered on the journey. Guanyin's journey to the east is fraught with challenges. She encounters a river, the river of flowing sands, a vast and treacherous expanse that would be impossible to cross for a mortal. It is here that she meets a monstrous creature, once the curtain-raising general, now exiled and suffering under the Jade Emperor's punishment. Guanyin offers him redemption, a chance to become a disciple and accompany the pilgrim who will fetch the scriptures. Further along her path, Guanyin and her disciple, Huiyan, confront another beast, once the martial Tian Pong, now a monstrous pig, dwelling in the Cloud Pathway cave on the Mount of Blessing. Again, Guanyin extends an offer of redemption, bestowing upon him a new name, Zhu Wuneng, and instructing him to await the pilgrim. In her quest, Guanyin also encounters the son of the Dragon King of the Western Sea, a jade dragon sentenced to death for his transgressions. Moved by his plea, she ascends to heaven to beg for his life, securing his release and his commitment to serve the pilgrim as a white horse. Finally, Guanyin arrives at the 5 Elements Mountain, where Sun Wukong remains imprisoned. She offers him a chance at atonement, to become a disciple and seek redemption through the journey to the west. Wukong, now aware of his Buddha nature, accepts this path with fervor. The Bodhisattva, accompanied by her faithful disciple Huiyan, continued eastward to the bustling capital of Chang'an. Disguising themselves as humble monks, they entered the city and sought refuge in a shrine dedicated to a local tutelary god. The god, recognizing the divine nature of their visitor, bowed in reverence and alerted the city god and other deities of Chang'an, who all came to pay their respects. The Bodhisattva, however, insisted on secrecy, for she was on a divine mission to find a virtuous monk for the sacred task ahead. Meanwhile, in the same city, a scholar named Chen Yi, courtesy named Guangrui, aspired to achieve greatness through the imperial examinations. His mother, Madame Zhang, encouraged him to pursue his dreams, and with her blessings, he set off for Chang'an. His diligence and intellect shone through, and he emerged as the top scholar in the examinations, earning him a parade through the streets and the admiration of all. It was during this parade that he caught the eye of Miss Wenxiao, the beautiful and unmarried daughter of Minister Yin Kaishan. A chance encounter with her embroidered ball led to a swift marriage, and soon after, Chen Guangrui was appointed as the prefect of Jiangzhou. As Chen Guangrui and his new bride journeyed to his post, they stopped at the 10,000 Flowers Inn, where Madame Zhang fell ill. Concerned for her health, Guangrui decided to leave her at the inn, promising to return for her once the heat of the summer had passed. Unbeknownst to them, this decision would set off a chain of tragic events. At the ford over the Hongjiang estuary, Chen Guangrui and his wife encountered two treacherous boatmen, Lu Hong and Li Biao. Overcome by lust and greed, the boatmen murdered Chen Guangrui and his servant, casting their bodies into the river and assuming their identities. Miss Wenxiao, now a widow before her time, was left with no choice but to submit to Lu Hong's cruel demands. In the depths of the river, Chen Guangrui's body sank, his spirit calling out for justice. His cries reached the ears of a patrolling Yaksha demon, who brought the news to the Dragon King of the Hongjiang estuary. The Dragon King, recognizing Chen Guangrui as the man who had once saved his life, vowed to repay the debt. He summoned the scholar's soul and, with a face-preserving pearl, prevented his body from decay, ensuring that Chen Guangrui would one day have the chance to seek revenge. In the mortal world, Miss Wenxiao bore a son, Xuanzang, a child conceived in sorrow but destined for greatness. Knowing that her child would be in danger if Lu Hong discovered his true parentage, she made a heart-wrenching decision to set him adrift on the river, leaving a blood letter and a piece of her clothing as proof of his lineage. The infant Xuanzang was discovered by the compassionate Abbot Faming of the Jinshan Temple, who raised him as his own and named him Jianglu, after the river that had brought him to the temple's doorstep. As the years passed, Xuanzang grew into a young man of deep spiritual conviction. When he learned of the injustices that had befallen his birth parents, he was consumed by a desire for vengeance. With the guidance of Abbot Faming, he set out to find his mother and seek justice for his father. His journey led him to Jiangzhou, where he was reunited with Miss Wenxiao, and together, they devised a plan to expose Lu Hong's treachery. Miss Wenxiao, under the pretense of fulfilling a vow, traveled to the Jinshan Temple, where she and Xuanzang shared a tearful reunion. Fearing the wrath of Lu Hong, they decided to seek help from her father, Minister Yin Kaishan. With a letter and a sandalwood bracelet from Miss Wenxiao, Xuanzang set off for the capital, determined to bring about the downfall of the villain who had destroyed their family. In the capital, Minister Yin Kaishan received the letter and was filled with rage and sorrow upon learning of his son-in-law's fate. He immediately sought an audience with Emperor Taizong, who granted him the authority to lead an army to Jiangzhou. The minister's forces moved with haste, crossing the river under the cover of darkness and surrounding Lu Hong's residence before dawn. As the sun rose, Lu Hong was brought to the execution ground, his treachery exposed. Minister Yin and his daughter, Miss Wenxiao, along with Xuanzang, made their way to the river's edge to perform a ritual in honor of Chen Guangrui. It was there that a miracle occurred. A corpse floated towards the shore, and as Miss Wenxiao recognized her husband's body, she was overwhelmed with grief. But as they wept by the riverbank, Chen Guangrui's body began to move, and he sat up, very much alive. The Dragon King, moved by the heartfelt sacrifices, had returned Chen Guangrui's soul to his body, along with treasures and a newfound lease on life. Overwhelmed with joy, the family reunited, their sorrows replaced with hope and happiness. The news of their miraculous reunion spread far and wide, and the Tang Emperor, upon hearing of Qian Guangrui's talents and the extraordinary events surrounding his life, appointed him as a scholar, a position of great honor and responsibility. Xuanzang, now certain of his parents' well-being, returned to the Jinshan Temple to continue his spiritual journey, while Miss Wenxiao, having found peace, chose to end her life with dignity. The tale of Qin Guangrui, Miss Wenxiao, and their brave son Xuanzang became a legend, a testament to the power of love, redemption, and the enduring human spirit. If you want to know what happened afterwards, listen to the explanation in the next installment.